if I told you that the greatest Sith Lord in galactic history was also one of the most powerful Jedi who ever lived? What if the same person who nearly conquered the Republic also became its greatest savior? Today, we're diving deep into the legendary tale of the most complex figure in Star Wars lore, Darth Revan. This isn't just a story about the fall to the dark side and redemption. This is the tale of a being so powerful that they transcended the very concept of light and dark, becoming something entirely new. A figure whose choices shaped the galaxy for millennia and whose legacy still echoes through Star Wars today. But first, let me ask you this. What makes a hero and what makes a villain? Because by the end of Revan's story, you might realize that sometimes they're the exact same thing. The Mandalorian Wars, where legends are born. Our story begins during one of the darkest periods in galactic history, the Mandalorian Wars. Picture this, the Mandalorian clans, led by the legendary Mandalore the Ultimate, are systematically conquering Republic worlds. Planet after planet falls to their superior tactics and warrior culture. The Republic is paralyzed. The Jedi Council, in their infinite wisdom, decides to sit back and meditate on the situation while entire systems burn. We must wait, they said. We must not act in haste. Meanwhile, billions of innocent people were dying, but two young Jedi Knights couldn't stand idly by while the galaxy burned. Their names were Revan and Malak, and they were about to change everything. Revan wasn't just any Jedi. Even as a young knight, they displayed an understanding of the Force that bordered on the supernatural. Ancient texts seemed to whisper their secrets to Revan. Battle strategies that should have taken decades to master came naturally. This was someone touched by destiny itself. When Revan stood before the Jedi Council and demanded they act against the Mandalorians, the Council's refusal didn't deter them. Instead, it sparked something that would echo through the ages. "If you will not save the Republic," Revan declared, "then we will." What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. Revan began rallying Jedi to their cause, not through coercion or manipulation, but through pure, undeniable charisma and tactical brilliance. These weren't just any Jedi either. These were some of the Order's brightest and most capable knights, all willing to risk everything because they believed in Revan's vision. The first major battle was at Seriko. The Mandalorians had perfected their strategy of devastating orbital bombardments, leaving nothing but ash where cities once stood. But Revan had studied their tactics, understood their culture, and devised something revolutionary, a strategy that turned the Mandalorians' greatest strength into their greatest weakness. Instead of meeting them head-on, Revan began a campaign of surgical strikes and brilliant misdirection. They understood something the Republic military had missed. The Mandalorians weren't just warriors, they were a culture built on honor and the pursuit of worthy opponents. Revan gave them exactly what they craved, but on terms that slowly bled their forces dry. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Each victory came at a cost that went beyond mere casualties. Revan began making choices that crossed ethical lines, sacrificing civilians to save more civilians, using prisoners as bait, employing tactics that no Jedi should ever consider. And with each morally ambiguous decision, something inside Revan began to change. The Mask of Mandalore. A symbol is born. The turning point came at the Battle of Malachor V. Revan had cornered the Mandalorian fleet in the gravity wells of this ancient Sith world. Yes, you heard that right, a Sith world. The final confrontation between Revan and Mandalore the Ultimate was everything you'd expect from two legendary warriors. But when Mandalore lay defeated, something unprecedented happened. With his dying breath, Mandalore revealed a secret that would haunt Revan forever. The Mandalorian Wars hadn't been the Mandalorians' idea. They had been manipulated, pushed into conflict by a hidden Sith empire that lurked in the unknown regions. "We were just the beginning," Mandalore gasped. "The darkness, it comes." As Mandalore died, Revan picked up his mask, that iconic, emotionless visage that would become the symbol of Revan's transformation. But this wasn't just a trophy of war. Ancient Sith spirits whispered from Malachor's depths, and as Revan placed that mask upon their face, something fundamental shifted. The mask wasn't just hiding Revan's identity, it was hiding their fall to the dark side. You see, Malachor V wasn't just any planet. It was a wound in the Force itself, a place where the dark side was so concentrated that it could corrupt even the strongest Jedi. The mass shadow generator, the superweapon Revan used to end the war, didn't just destroy the Mandalorian fleet. It created a gravitational anomaly that killed thousands of Jedi and Sith alike, their deaths feeding the planet's dark side nexus. And Revan absorbed it all. Every death, every moment of suffering, every dark thought that had ever crossed that battlefield became part of them. The hero who had saved the Republic was dying, and something far more dangerous was being born. But here's the truly terrifying part. Revan didn't lose their mind to the dark side like so many others. They embraced it with the same tactical brilliance that had won the war. They began to see the dark side not as corruption, but as another tool to be mastered. The Dark Lord rises. Revan's Sith Empire. When Revan and Malak departed for the unknown regions, officially they were hunting down remaining Mandalorian forces. In reality, they were following the trail of the hidden Sith Empire that had orchestrated the entire war. What they found there defied imagination, the remnants of the ancient Sith Empire, ruled by the immortal Sith Emperor Vitiate, a being so powerful and ancient that he made Palpatine look like a child playing with toys. But instead of being crushed by this revelation, Revan saw opportunity. They didn't just fall to the dark side, they conquered it. Under the Emperor's tutelage, Revan learned secrets of the Force that the Jedi had forgotten millennia ago. Powers that could dominate minds across star systems, manipulate life and death itself, and bend the very fabric of reality to their will. Malak, meanwhile, became Revan's devoted apprentice, but he never understood what his master truly planned. You see, Revan wasn't just learning from the Sith Emperor, they were preparing to overthrow him. When Revan returned to Republic space as a Sith Lord, they brought with them an armada, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. But here's what made Revan different from every other Sith Lord. They weren't interested in destruction for its own sake. Every conquest was calculated, every battle fought with a greater purpose in mind. The Starforge, an ancient Rakatan space station that could create infinite fleets by feeding on the dark side of the Force, became Revan's key to power. But even as Darth Revan crushed Republic fleets and conquered world after world, they were careful to preserve infrastructure, maintain economies, and keep casualties to a strategic minimum. This wasn't the blind rage of a fallen Jedi. This was the calculated conquest of a brilliant strategist who understood that they needed the galaxy intact for what was coming. The true Sith Empire's inevitable invasion. Revan was playing a game of chess on a galactic scale, and everyone else, Republic, Jedi, even their own apprentice Malak, were merely pieces on the board. The betrayal. When apprentices become masters, even the greatest strategists can be undone by those closest to them. Malak had grown jealous of his master's power, frustrated by Revan's secrecy about their true plans. The dark side whispered to him of power, of the right to rule, of freedom from his master's shadow. The moment came during a joint Jedi-Republic assault on Revan's flagship. A strike team led by Bastila Shan, a young Jedi with the rare gift of battle meditation, had managed to board the ship through a combination of skill and desperate courage. As Revan dueled the Jedi strike team and was winning, because let's be honest, this is Revan we're talking about, Malak saw his opportunity. Rather than assist his master, he ordered his own ships to fire on the bridge of Revan's flagship. The betrayal was perfect in its cruelty. Malak eliminated his master, wiped out the Jedi strike team, and positioned himself to claim the title of Dark Lord of the Sith. It was a masterpiece of Sith treachery. There was only one problem: Revan survived. Barely alive and with their memories shattered by the explosion, Revan was captured by the Jedi. But Bastila Shan, the leader of the strike team, made a decision that would change galactic history. Instead of executing the fallen Sith Lord, she used her Force Bond, created when she saved Revan's life, to reconstruct their memories. But not their real memories. The Jedi Council, in their wisdom, decided to give Revan a new identity, new memories, and a new chance at life. They would turn the galaxy's greatest Sith Lord back into a Jedi and use them as a weapon against Malak. It was either the most brilliant redemption plan in Jedi history or the most dangerous gamble ever attempted. The Prodigal Knight. Redemption's price. What happened next reads like the greatest redemption story ever told. The amnesiac Revan, with no memory of their fall to the dark side, began a new journey across the galaxy. Accompanied by some of the most memorable companions in Star Wars history, the wise Jolee Bindo, the loyal Cartho Nasi, the conflicted Bastila Shan, this new Revan slowly rediscovered their connection to the light side of the Force. But here's what makes Revan's story so compelling. Even without their memories, their fundamental nature remained unchanged. They were still a brilliant strategist, still a natural leader, still someone who inspired absolute loyalty in their companions. The only difference was the moral framework guiding those abilities. As Revan retraced their steps through the galaxy, visiting the star maps that led to the Starforge, they began to understand the scope of their former power. Each revelation should have been crushing. The knowledge that they had been the galaxy's greatest enemy, that they had ordered the deaths of thousands, that they had fallen so far from the light. Instead, Revan made a choice that defined them more than any other moment in their story. They chose to face their past without flinching, to accept responsibility for their actions, and to dedicate their new life to making amends. When the truth was finally revealed that they were the former Dark Lord of the Sith, Revan's companions faced a choice. Stand by someone they had grown to love and respect, or abandon them for the monster they had once been. Every single one of them chose to stand by Revan. That, perhaps more than any other moment, shows the true measure of who Revan had become. The Starforge, facing the past. The final confrontation at the Starforge was everything Star Wars fans could hope for. Revan, now fully restored as a Jedi but carrying the wisdom of both light and dark, faced their former apprentice in single combat while Republic and Sith fleets clashed around them. But this wasn't just a battle between master and apprentice, it was a battle between two philosophies of power. Malak represented the traditional Sith path: power through passion, strength through victory, domination through fear. He had bound the spirits of fallen Jedi to the Starforge, draining their energy to make himself virtually immortal. Revan, however, had transcended that simple understanding. They fought not with hatred or anger, but with purpose. Every move was calculated, every strike measured. Where Malak relied on raw power, Revan used precision. Where Malak sought to dominate, Revan sought to free. The turning point came when Revan began releasing the trapped Jedi spirits, denying Malak his source of power. But even more importantly, Revan offered their former apprentice something no Sith had ever offered another: forgiveness. "You were my friend, my brother," Revan said as Malak lay dying. "I failed you once. I won't make that mistake again." With Malak's death, Revan faced a choice that would echo through the ages. The Starforge lay before them: infinite power, the ability to reshape the galaxy according to their will. As a Sith Lord, they would have used it without hesitation. As a Jedi, they could have preserved it for the light side. Instead, Revan chose a third option. They destroyed it. In that moment, Revan proved that true strength isn't about having power, it's about knowing when not to use it. The final mystery, beyond light and dark. Revan's story doesn't end with the destruction of the Starforge. In the years that followed, as the Republic celebrated their savior and the Jedi welcomed back their prodigal knight, Revan began to remember more than just their fall to the dark side. They remembered the true enemy, the Sith Emperor who still lurked in the unknown regions, growing stronger with each passing year. They remembered the vision that had driven them to become a Sith Lord in the first place, the knowledge that the galaxy would need a strong leader to survive what was coming. So Revan made one final choice. They left behind everything they had rebuilt: their friends, their redemption, their place in the galaxy, and ventured alone into the unknown regions to face the Sith Emperor. Not as a Jedi seeking to destroy evil, and not as a Sith seeking power, but as something new entirely. The final confrontation between Revan and the Sith Emperor is the stuff of legends. For 300 years, Revan remained the Emperor's prisoner, with their incredible will providing a constant psychic barrier that prevented the ancient Sith from launching his invasion of the Republic. Even in captivity, even tortured and broken, Revan continued to protect the galaxy that had both celebrated and condemned them. When Revan finally died, they had transcended the very concepts that define most Force users. They were neither Jedi nor Sith, but something greater, a being who had walked both paths and found wisdom in balance. The legacy of a legend. So what makes Darth Revan the greatest character in Star Wars history? It's not just their power, though they possessed abilities that few have ever matched. It's not just their intelligence, though their strategic mind was unparalleled. It's not even their redemption, though their journey from darkness back to light is one of the most compelling arcs ever written. What makes Revan truly special is that they represent the ultimate evolution of what a Force user can become. They didn't reject the dark side, they mastered it. They didn't abandon the light, they embodied it. They became living proof that the Force isn't about choosing sides, but about understanding balance. Revan's story shows us that heroism isn't about being perfect. It's about making difficult choices, accepting responsibility for our failures, and never stopping in the fight to protect what we love. Whether they were a Jedi Knight saving the Republic, a Sith Lord conquering it, or something beyond both categories entirely, Revan never stopped being the galaxy's protector. Revan may have walked both sides of the Force, but Count Dooku shows just how dangerous it is when a Jedi never comes back. Click on the video on your screen now.